Wow, what a perfect place to pitch the Hilleberg Rogen 310. So let's just do that, shall we? It's an excellent 3-person, lightweight backpacking tent in Hilleberg's Yellow Label collection at 2.5 kilos. Split that out between 2 people with loads of room, and it's a good choice. So let's get it pitched here. Got a nice view behind us. The sun's coming in and out. Sam's getting worried about it being too bright or too dark, but you know, we'll work it out. First things first, let's pitch it, shall we? And then we'll talk about the fabrics and how amazing a tent it is. Pegs, pop them in a pocket here. Normally I like to wear trousers which have got a nice thigh pocket to put your pegs in. Unfortunately, I haven't got those today. So we'll stick them in here. Hopefully they won't fall out like in a previous video. First thing I like to do is put the poles together. This has got DAC 9mm poles. They're the same poles that are used on the Red Label tents from Hilleberg, which are kind of the more wintry versions of their tents. This has got 3 poles, 2 are the same length, and it's got 1 short pole which increases the head height inside. So we'll put these together first. The reason I like to do this is that it means that the tent, if the weather was pretty wet, the poles are ready to go. I haven't got to put the poles together while the tent's getting rained on and flat. When you're putting these poles together, always make sure that they're seated and there's no gaps. And try and put them together by hand. Definitely don't fling them out and let the elastic cord put them together, like I just did. And that's our short cross pole here. So this uses Hilleberg's Curl-On 1000 fabric, which is a 20D ripstop nylon with a silicone treatment, a tear strength of 800. Sorry, 8 kilos, not 800, that'd be absolutely mental. 8 kilos. So what we're going to do is peg it out first. You get the nice mini Y-shaped pegs, alley pegs on this one, which are like a lightweight version of the Black Label tent pegs. They're symmetrical design, they offer plenty of grip and loads of holding power. I really rate these. So that's the 4 corners pegged out. Hilleberg tents are all pitch as one, so the inner's pre-attached here, which is great for windy, wet conditions. I haven't got to rush to get that inner up and the fly sheet over it because it's fixed. So if it was windy and wet, we know the inner's going to stay relatively dry now. And because these poles are the same length, there's no colour coding. We know which pole's got to go where. Make sure that's seated right in the end. Double check he's in his little seat, which he is. Another nice thing about Hilleberg tents is they tend to all be designed this way, where the pole sleeve is sealed at one end. So you haven't got to go around there and try and wrestle putting a pole into a little foot or clip. Make sure you tension it up to give the pole the correct tension. Do the next one. Then we've got the cross pole, which sits in here, one side of this. Of course, it's the other side. Always going to be. There's a sleeve in the top here, which the pole slides into. It's actually really neat, clever way they've done it. You see a lot of tents have got those kind of all-in-one pole sets. Hilleberg got away with that by just cleverly fixing the pole, sleeve to the fly sheet, and then giving you a tension strap on it. Make sure that's all seated correctly, which it is. Right, that's the main tent pitch now. Looking pretty good. So we're going to put the guy lines out. You get a 2mm Spectra guy line on these. It's got a reflective core to it. Doesn't stretch when it gets wet. Really good when they get iced up. Excellent at knotting. No, they don't knot very much at all, which is great. This one has just got a little loop in it for some reason that someone's put in. So this tent's got a symmetrical layout. It's got a door on both sides. It's perfect, really. Guess what? Got another knot. It's perfect, really, for 2 people who want a bit more space. Great for cycle touring, motorcycle touring, hiking, trekking. It's a bit heavier than some of the lightweight models, but way more robust. Much more durable, loads of room inside this thing. We'll get inside it in a minute. You can see how big it is. Lots of ventilation, great for summer backpacking tours. It's also great as an option for 2 people and a small child, or 2 people and a dog. Would be good. 3 adults would be a bit of a squeeze. Really? Well, I mean, it fits 3 adults fine. But there's not a lot of like kit storage options here for 3 adults. So here we have the Hilleberg Rogen 3 tent, and let's open up these doors and we'll talk a bit about yellow label tents. So you can see here we've got this cutout. The yellow label tents from Hilleberg are their 3-season models. So these are designed for use out of winter conditions or out of like Scandinavian winter conditions, a bit different from UK winter. I'd be happy with this in most conditions in the UK all year round, apart from maybe the depths of winter when it's really cold, really windy, or if you're doing some mountain routes in the winter. The reason it's a summer tent, these cutouts allow for a lot more airflow, so air to move underneath here and over the inner to help remove condensation and keep the tent cooler. A red or black label tent, the fly sheet comes to the ground to help eliminate that wind, that cold air coming in and filling up the tent and making you very cold. The downside of that is if you're using a tent in warmer conditions and there's less airflow, you get really bad condensation. Now, I've slept a lot of nights in red and black label tents from Hilleberg and other brands, and I can say that you get lots of condensation inside them, especially if it's still, and if you're using it in like summer conditions in one of those tents, it can be really bad. So this helps to alleviate that. The other way they've got around it is by providing massive mesh doors. So you've got a huge mesh door on both sides of this tent, and that mesh is going to allow your warm air out and kind of the dry air in. But again, the downside of this is if you're using it in really cold, windy conditions, there's no windproof back or solid back on here that you can cover it up with. So they've done that to kind of help save weight, because it's a summer tent, you shouldn't need the backer on it. But it can mean if using it in very cold conditions, it can feel a bit cold. However, for the UK, I would probably use a yellow label tent all year round. And this is a great option. Like I said, if you're doing a long distance trail, Southwest Coast Path, Sky Trail, those type of things with a partner, the Rogen 3 I think is a really good option. Loads of room for multiple nights out for 2 people. So we'll talk a bit more about the fabrics and the design in a second, and I'll let Sam kind of give you a good walk through it now. Okay, so here's that nice big mesh door, which we're going to roll back. The inner here, you can get 3 mats, standard air mats next to each other. If you want wide mats, you can't get 3 of those next to each other. But like I said, I think this is a great tent for 2 people who want a bit more room. There's a couple of pockets in here, but let's talk about that floor, which is a 50D nylon with a PU coating and a hydrostatic head of 12,000 millimeters. You heard that right, 1,200 mil. 500, 12,000. 1,200 is what you get on some of these American tents. Low, leaky, wet. This thing's made to last. Got a proper floor on it. So you can get a footprint, which is optional. I don't think you really need a footprint for this. It's just extra weight you're going to carry. The floor's designed to last a long time, be really durable. You get to have this tent 5, 6 years time. A lot of use, you can still be guaranteed, confident that you're not going to get any water seeping through if you're pitching it on the wet moors. The floor on the inner, or I should say the side walls, which you can see like here, they're also cut to match the curvature of the cutout on the fly sheet to help reduce the wind ingress, blowing in, blowing over, and blowing inside to make you feel cool. The rest of the inner is this lightweight yellow ripstop nylon, and that's going to help with any condensation drips that come on and drip down inside the tent. This is treated with a DWR, so if this was all mesh, you've got some condensation drips, it's going to come through and you're going to have like wet drips on your head and think your tent's leaking when it's not, it's just condensating. So that's why this is all the mesh, and to help reduce the wind coming through a little bit. I like the fact that this whole door on both sides rolls completely back too, so that's quite nice. So you can unclip this. This is a nice pose. Come on. We've got panoramic views now of the moor. Gorgeous. All our kit's stored on the other side, or you've got your own porch each to get in and out of. Yeah, I really like this tent. I think it's great. One more little feature to show you is on the door. There's a red toggle here, which is designed to go through the zip to stop the zip opening up. You also get on this, which you don't see on many Hilleberg tents, it's got a laminated zipper. You'll see that on waterproof jackets. Because it's such a big zip, unlike on a tunnel tent, and they haven't put a flap over it, so they've put this laminated zipper, which is going to keep the moisture out. In prolonged heavy wind-blown rain, you might get some water ingress through that zip and drip on the inside. Again, it's not your tent leaking. It's just some water ingress through the zip. But this red tab clips in through there, and now if the zip, this won't blow apart in windy conditions, whereas if that was flapping all night, it can start undoing itself. 2-way zip, you can open it up for more ventage too, so I'd have that open most of the time for venting. And you can switch that guide onto the other side. You've got options for either side to be your door, your opening, so depending on which way the wind's blowing, how bad the weather is, you can augment it on both sides so that one area is like a drier or easier to get in and out of without getting soaked. It is seal nylon, 3 coatings, two on the outside, one on the in, one on the other side. This means the seams aren't taped. It relies on the seams being stitched in such a way they're folded over, so you get 4 layers of fabric on the seams, and then they use a very fine needle and a cotton core thread which swells up when it gets wet to block the holes. In prolonged heavy rain, you might get some water ingress through those seams. It's a tiny amount, but you might get some water ingress. If you want to avoid that, you can use a silicone seam sealer, which you can do that yourself, but these can't be heat taped in the factory. You shouldn't ever need to do that to the seams, but you can. The option's there if you want. So yeah, that is the Hilleberg Rogen 3. It's also available as a 2-man tent, which is a little bit lighter weight, so I'll put the information there about it. And that's the original version is called the Rogen, and now it's called a Rogen, and there's a Rogen 3. But 2-person or 3-person option. I quite like this 3-person option. I think it's a great backpacking tent, cycle touring tent. So any questions at all, ask them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.